Mr. Malik, Mr. Santosh Kumar, my friends from Mera, Mr. S. Kos and Mr. Sanjay Kumar, Mr. Majumdar. Friends, thank you very much for inviting us to this seminar. It will be very useful to us because we are also new in this sector. I congratulate Vicky and Grant Thornton and Escrow for preparing a report on improving transparency in secondary real estate market, and the recommendations given on page 12 are very useful recommendations, particularly mandatory digitization of property record across the nation. All developed nations have done it. We are having a very powerful IT force in the country. Government willingness also to computerize property records, but so far the progress in this direction is very slow and unsatisfactory. Similarly, digitization of GST for secondary real estate, single license fee across nation for real estate agents. This particular recommendation regarding real estate agents is also very important. From the point of view, we should have a network somewhere, some kind of database where real estate agents all across the country can be put in, and we are in a position to see a particular real estate which is functioning in 4 or 5 states. We at times do not know what they are doing in other states. Similarly, mandatory escrow mechanism to bring in transparency and reduce litigation. So all these recommendations are very useful. And I hope with the kind of pressure group you are acting with the government policy making, you will be able to at least have some of these recommendations accepted by the government. Similarly, the recommendations given in this report restricting the secondary real estate market in India. These recommendations are also very long-term recommendations, particularly the recommendations like improve the setting up of a fully functional RERA as part of the list of reforms under EODP indicators issued by DIPP. RERA to incentivize the movement of the permitted 30% of money in REITs. All contractual dispute for secondary sales to be considered under special tribunal with the approved regulator. Simplify and standardize contract restriction for all real estate, all resale of the property. So thank you very much for publishing this report, and I hope these reports will be very useful not only for the industry but also for the government officials and regulators working all across the country. Friends, this Real Estate Regulation Development Act is of recent origin, and there are large number of confusions prevailing all across the country. Different kind of practices are being adopted by RERA. This kind of confusion prevailing because sometimes ministry says, look, only registered real estate projects are under RERA, not otherwise. But the language of the act is not supporting that viewpoint. If you look at the definition of the project given in section 2 ZJ, project means the real estate project as defined in clause ZN. Similarly, they have defined the real estate project, and real estate project is defined means the development of a building or a building consisting of apartments or converting an existing building or a part thereof into apartments. Blah, blah. Nowhere in both these definitions, this act says the real estate project means real estate project registered under the act, or a project means the real estate project registered under the act. Now, the section 3 of this act, the 3.2 gives categories of the project where registration shall not be required. Now, in the total scheme of the Act, there are 10 chapters. Chapter 2 deals with registration. It is only 10% part of the total scheme of the Act. So, this section 3.2, this gives a list of categories of the project where registration shall not be required. And it starts with no registration of real estate project shall be required. It has got 3 categories. If size of the plot is less than 500, if the number of apartments are less than 8, and number 2, which is most important, 3.2b, where commencement, the completion certificate has been issued prior to commencement of this Act. This particular provision will have some effect on the secondary real estate market, as Mr. Santosh Kumar said. Look, now we are having 2 kinds of property. One property is basically the ready-made property built by the builder. When we discuss that, this point will be very important. And then third is basically where we are doing only remodeling. And the property is not going to put to sale again. Now this Act, this particular provision, it takes out of the ambit of registration of certain projects, not out of the ambit of the provisions of the Act. This is the most important thing that we get understood. 3.2, it says no registration shall be required. And registration is not the only objective under the Act. So this 3.2, it only says for the following 3 categories of the project, no registration shall be required, but it does not say if these, apart from these things, all other projects are out of the ambit of the Act. Even these projects, because this Act has been promulgated by the Parliament, making use of the entry 6 and 7 of the concurrent list. And this entry says about transaction of property other than agriculture. So it had nothing to do with land use, nothing to do with the plans, specifications. It only basically regulates relationship between buyer and seller of the real estate other than agriculture. So in that light, if a builder says, look, I will construct the complete project, I will take the completion certificate, and then only I will put my property to sale. Other scenario, if person has taken a completion certificate, maybe project having 2,000 flats, and still there is unsold inventory of 800 flats. Third scenario, where a project is initiated without registration, and promoter says, I will get my registration done only when I intend to put my property to sale. Now look at the provisions. This section 3.1, puts certain restrictions. You cannot advertise, you cannot market, you cannot book, you can't sell without registration. Now when registration starts and when it ends? Registration starts with the commencement of the construction and it ends as soon as completion certificate is obtained. So after completion of the project, the requirement of registration is over. The project is unregistered after the issuing of the completion certificate. And before registration is done, that project is also out of registration. Now in section 3, it brings under the ambit of RERA all those projects which are not registered but registerable. Because section 59 empowers RERA to take action against those builders, against those promoters, where they have issued advertisement, put their project to sale, but they have not got the registration done. So it means the Act is applicable to unregistered projects, where there is a requirement of registration. The other part is, when registration ends, it ends as soon as the project is completed. So the registration serves a very limited purpose from commencement to completion of the project, there were large number of mischiefs, frauds, large number of irregularity being committed by the promoter to take care of those things. And particularly, there are three main particular mischiefs. Number one, when you start construction, you give a particular time schedule. And earlier, this time schedule was not being adhered. There are cases where the money to the tune of 2 to 3 crore was taken in the year 2006, 2007, and still project is only at the basement level. We are having large number of projects. At least 1,70,000 such kind of LOT are suffering because of this, because of delay in project. And delay is not normal delay, highly abnormal delay. 12 to 13 years, 14 years, 15 years. Now, the purpose of registration is a particular date for completion of the project is given. Project is monitored by the RERA authorities. You have to give quarterly progress report. You have to give quarterly physical progress as well as financial progress, so that once there is a likelihood of delay of the project, the promoter can be alarmed and RERA authority can take intervening action, whatever is required, so that project is completed, not even if not at the prescribed or due date or declared date, but at least in near future date for which extension can be done. Now the other purpose of registration is we have two kind of obligations. The one obligation is statutory obligations regarding layout plan, sanction plan, and specifications. Because whenever a building is constructed, particular project is taken up, you have to follow statutory approvals regarding layout plan, sanction plan, and also you have to follow certain specifications. So they are the basic minimum specifications. And this work is to be done not by us. This work is to be done by the competent authority who has given either license to you or permission to you for taking care of that project. Others are voluntary obligations. You have promised certain things much over and above what is statutorily required. You have promised to the LOT, look, there will be a wooden flooring, there will be these kind of Italian marble I was using in the kitchen, all those kind of things. So there are certain promissory obligations and there are certain statutory obligations. So the purpose of RERA is to bring that kind of transparency to whatever you promise that should be delivered. And that can only be monitored during the construction phase, not later. Later you can only get compensation, but remedial action can only be taken during the construction phase. And the third most important issue that has been compared that is taken care of through registration, that is basically non-diversion of funds. Therefore, the 70% conditions look 70% money will be deposited in a particular account, and that will be used only for two purposes, that is for the purpose of construction and for meeting of the land cost. So the purpose of registration is to monitor the project from commencement to completion. And as soon as completion certificate is given, as per section 5, validity of the registration expires. Now there are certain other obligations which are to be met by a promoter after the validity of expiry of the validity of registration. That is, you have to give possession of the real estate within 3 months. You have to get the conveyance deed done. You have the defect removal liability up to 5 years for workmanship defect as well as structural defect. For the land title defect liability, you have perpetual liability. So these are the liabilities, these are the obligations of the promoter even after expiry of the validity of the registration. So that is very clear. The registration serves a very limited purpose and it is valid from commencement to completion. And even after completion, there are large number of obligations which a promoter is bound to observe. So for now, there is the first type of project where a promoter wants to construct first and then only to put his property to sale. Then he says, look, I am out of ambit of RERA. No, he is out of ambit of registration. Registration is not required because this act only take out certain project out of the ambit of registration but not out of the ambit of the act. Now suppose that he sells some property Can he charge any amount for conveyance deed? There are cases where other people are charging mutation 10 lakh rupees. Conveyance deed over and above stamp duty and everything 5 lakh rupees. So we cannot say, look, I am not registered under ERA. Hence, I can charge anything. And there cannot be two set of authorities for taking care of the same kind of issue. So even if so there are certain obligations which are to be met by the promoter even after validity of the registration, and in case a promoter says, look, one of the top promoters in the country, in a conference, they said to us, look, we will not get up any more project registered under ERA. What we will do now, we will complete the project first, take completion certificate, then only as is where basis we will sell the project. Now there is one more provision. Section 3(1) puts restrictions. Section 3(2) provides list of projects where registration is not required. But Section 4(1) it mandates every promoter to make an application for registration in the prescribed manner with prescribed fees in a prescribed format and at prescribed time. Now most of the states, they have not mentioned time, but logically when construction starts, it should be the registration should be reported. Application for registration has to be made before the start of the construction, because the purpose of registration is to monitor progress and to take care of certain irregularities from commencement to completion. So that 4(1) makes it very clear. Even if you want to put your property to sale, it is not important whether you want to have completion booking or you want to do post completion booking. But project shall have to be registered with RERA, keeping in view the provision section 4(1). Why this I am saying this? Because there are large number of people who have this misimpression. Look, if we are not registered under ERA, we are not under the ambit of the Act. They are under ambit of the Act. Throughout their life, this land title defect liability will remain. For 5 years, this structural defect and workmanship defect liability will remain. Now, there is one more important point. Suppose if a person has taken a completion certificate, so he is out of the ambit of registration. There were 2,000 flats, 1,200 flats he has already sold. There are 800 flats left out. He is putting these flats to sale after commencement of this act. And I said you that project has been taken out of ambit of registration, but not out of ambit of provisions of the ERA. Because after chapter 2, there is chapter 3 which provides obligations of the promoter, both during registration, both prior to registration as well as post registration. Obligations of the real estate agents, then obligations of the allottees, then other institutional mechanism in different chapters. So now what will happen to these 800 flat buyers? Whether they will be allowed to be cheated by a promoter, then they will be allowed to be charged whatever amount promoter wants to charge. It's a fact. He will say, look, as is, where is basis, you can have this property. This is my cost. I want just 5 crore. That is up to him. But the allottee is going to enter into a contract with him under 2 guarantees. What guarantee? He has constructed this building as per the approved layout plan and the specifications approved by the competent authority, because he has got the completion certificate. Now, even after the completion certificate from the government authority, there are structural defects. Where will he go? He will say, look, although you have purchased property after coming into force of RERA, but you will not come to RERA, you have to go to civil court or somewhere else. Again, going by the same logic as has been given by the Bombay High Court in case of agreements registered before coming into force of RERA. The argument was in those agreements which were registered even prior to coming into of the RERA, the agreements wherever the clauses are unreasonable, those clauses have to be abrogated and the provisions of the act will prevail. And there cannot be two set of authorities to deal with the problem. One for the agreements which were entered prior to coming into force of RERA and other agreement which will be entered after coming into force of RERA. On this same argument, the flats, whatever may be the sale of property in a real estate project, if it qualifies as a real estate project, it qualifies, the promoter qualifies as a promoter as per the definition, then every transaction of real estate after coming to force of this act, in respect of the obligations which are post registration obligations, the promoter has to comply with. And if that kind of discipline comes in the market, I am very hopeful the real estate will grow, and we have recently registered some projects, the response was very good. In some of the project response was so good, in the day of opening, the 80% of the real estate was sold. So, there is also one misconception, if there are certain regulations in the act which are difficult to comply. During the post-registration, there are only 4 major obligations. RERA or there may not be RERA. The obligations will remain. Earlier also, you were duty bound to give possession. You were also duty bound to do conveyance deed. You were also duty bound to remove structural defect. And you are also duty bound to take care of the land title defect. These are the 4 obligations. These are only the 4 obligations which are important from the RERA point of view. And a project is registered or not registered, these obligations will remain as far as the present scheme of the act is concerned. If industry feels, this act should be applicable only to real estate projects which are registered under the act, then this is the time when industry should make effort and persuade the government to make the legal changes in the definition. Otherwise, as far as the present provisions are concerned, the act is applicable not only to registered projects but also to unregistered projects. With these observations, I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to have interaction with you and also to share my views on the working of Real Estate Regulatory Authority in our state.